All right, hey everyone. Phil here with MP Motorsports. John here with Hey Hey Racing.
How you doing?
As you can see, the mower's done. We took a little hiatus on you, and we apologize for that. When we left off last, John was working on the clutch. Ended up my wife getting a job in Tennessee, and we ended up moving there. I'm still up here for the moment, but we are going to be residing in Tennessee here pretty soon. Then had an unfortunate turn with my dad. He passed. I got COVID really bad, so life just caught up with me a little bit. So I wasn't able to keep up with John. But I'm gonna let John explain from the clutch thing forward, kind of how his season's going, some of the things he's learned, some of the things he'd do different, that kind of stuff. So we're gonna try to just one shot this thing. So if we mess up, we're just gonna start over, and you're gonna see it. So go ahead, John. Tell everybody how the clutch thing worked out and how you move forward with some of the problems. And
Sure. Well, you can see the hood is up because we still have clutch problems. First year issues. When you saw us last, we had the clutch worked out, and I really thought we had it on. We had it licked. We as in myself and my crew chief, my wife, went ahead and did all the final assembly, did the paint, and we made our first. We missed the test and tune, but we did make opening day in Brooklyn, Connecticut, for the New England Lawnmower Racing Association race in the summer, and it was quite a performance. The governing body was nice. There were 4 rookies at the race and let us go and take some laps because I had never been on a track, had no didn't know, didn't have any expectations whatsoever. And as we went on the track, puke chain right there at the entrance of pit road, we're able to resolve that. The way we've got the seat set up, you pull the wheels off, seat comes up, gives you full access to the transmission, the sprockets, and the chain, which has worked out well. Change the sprockets. One of the things you got to remember as you have a quick change in multiple gears for your live axle, sometimes you're going to only be able to get a master link. Sometimes the master link won't work and you got to use a half link. And sometimes the master link and the half link may get a little bit sloppy, so you need that idler wheel. Our idler wheel was a little off, so we were able to do a little trackside engineering with a hammer and a pair of pliers and get that straightened out, get some shims in there, and went out and competed. This season's been a blast. Everybody that we've raced with has been phenomenal, been very helpful. Phil has been on the phone. I've been on the phone with Phil through texts and emails, getting tips and tricks. The belts are a problem, and they're a problem with a lot. There's 8 GP mowers in our group, so there's quite a few. It's a very popular way to get into the sport, but I'm not the only one that's had belt issues. And I'm not paid by anybody. I'm not sponsored, other than Manic Motorsports. But Tractor Supply has the Kevlar belts, and they seem to last really well. The green belts from Napa also work well. Other ones, the black ones that you get at your local hardware store, they don't hold up. They spin, they slip, you can smell them burning. Track conditions vary. We've raced in mud, we've raced on loam, we've raced on grass, and we drove up to Andover, Maine, which is a good 3.5 hours north of here, to compete, where we had our best finish, a second place finish in the over 50 group, which is an accomplishment we're quite proud of. There were 7 mowers in the heat. We had 4 in the feature. We came in second, so we came in middle of the pack, and that was on loam. That track was really good. Turn 2 was like driving in the sand. It's been a learning curve. figuring out how to drive, when to brake, when to accelerate. This is governed for 3,600 RPM. 3,650 is our max. They do tech that before the start of the day. The tech guy comes through and checks that out. Checks out your wheelbase, make sure you're within the 40 inches, and just checks your brakes and looks at the overall quality of your build. So kill switch, you have a tether switch, and we ran into a problem with that. We got one off of the internet. It starts with an A. You all buy stuff from that, and you have normally open and normally closed. In a system like this with the Briggs and Stratton, you ground the coil out, so you would close that circuit or to ground. In this case, the first tether we got, when you pulled the tether, it grounded it out. So I was sitting here with my buddy, the small engine mechanic, and it just spinning and spinning and spinning. We're pulling our hair out, and Ronnie says to me, he says, "Hey, just for grins, pull that tether out." Pulled the tether out, motor fired right up. So we ended up getting a Marine one, which you can wire either way, normally open or normally closed. If you have any questions, I've kept a lot of my receipts. You can go ahead and get in touch with us, and I'll be happy to share that information with you. A lot of the parts for this mower came.
Let me touch on one thing with that kill switch thing. A common misconception with ignition on like a Briggs and Stratton twin or a Briggs and Stratton single cylinder engine. A lot of guys have contacted me over the years wanting to know where they get the power from to put to the coil. You do not energize the coil. The coil works on itself. It's a magnetic coil. It's called a magnetron in the old days. It generates its own power. The only thing you're doing to shut the machine off is grounding it out so it cannot create that power anymore to create a spark. So you need to ground the wire to shut the motor off. You do not need to put power to anything. You will burn up your ignition, your coil, if you put 12 volts to it. So just wanted to kind of clarify that.
Yeah.
And to run back to the belt thing, John's right. If it's an Aramid back belt or a Kevlar back belt, the red belts that you can buy online on the other store that John didn't mention, the red belts work really well. The Tractor Supply Aramid back belts work really well, and the Napa green belts would be my third choice. I've used those in a pinch, but I wouldn't run anything else. So I know there's cheaper belts out there, but in lawnmower racing, cheap and buying, you get what you pay for. You can, do not finish the race, or you can finish the race. So if you're running around your yard, then by all means get whatever you want to run. But if you're on the track, spend a couple extra bucks for a good belt. Sorry.
Yeah, no, not at all. And it is. I've seen guys all of a sudden it happened to me. We were down in Washington at the Washington County Fair. I actually was leading the heat. I led 7 laps. And then if you watch my videos, which we'll talk about towards the end, the field lapped me like I was standing still. My wife was hollering, go, get on it. Don't be such a chicken. And it wasn't me. The belt was slipping. It started to smell. Yeah, buy a good belt, really. We run pump gas, so don't bother with, our rules state it's got to come out of a pump. We don't run 103 octane or any of those high-performance race fuels. Plus, if you do run them, you can smell it. It definitely doesn't smell like normal unleaded gasoline.
It's like blueberries.
Yeah. Buy yourself a chest protector. I caught a rock, and I felt it bounce off my chest. Had I not, probably wouldn't have gone to work on Monday. Could have bruised a rib. Our group also requires a neck brace. That came in the mail from Speedway Motors. It's a Bell, or Simpson, excuse me. And they're out there. It's a pretty common brand. Interesting enough, I had a full face helmet fill for my first race. And I was so amped and so excited, I started to hyperventilate. and I couldn't breathe inside that helmet. I was really gasping to get my air.
I've seen that a few times with people. It's to get out on the track your first time, especially with an organized group with real rules and a real race. You know, there if you're especially if you're at a fair in front of a crowd, and this is your first time out on the racetrack with something like that. I mean, that's a lot to take in. And I've seen people who are really great racers in the end really cave in a little bit to all that going on. So, you know, once you get over it, once you get on the track, you get a few laps under you, and the first yellow comes out, and you actually breathe, like you held your breath for like 16 laps so far. A little bit of that anxiety goes away, and then it's like, okay, let's race. But yeah, that isn't uncommon, John, for that to happen. And seasoned racers, depending on the, you know, some of these guys that are in supermods going to the All-American race and stuff like that. I mean, I've seen some of them guys, you'll see them kind of pre-race, and they're just, you know, they're wide-eyed and, you know, they're amped up.
Excuse me. I did break down and buy a lightweight motocross helmet, and I carried 2 pair of goggles in my gearbox. A couple Fridays ago, we raced under the lights in Brooklyn, and it was raining sideways. And when the rain let up, we went out and raced. There was standing water in the pits. The track was kind of mushy, and people were pulling off to the infield to try to wipe their face shields because they couldn't see. In fact, there's a video on my YouTube channel, Helmet Cam, of how muddy it was. But it was fun. It was a blast. I wouldn't trade anything for it for the world.
I think that's something that it's an important thing to talk about too. This video might run on to 20 minutes here, but I just want to, I'm going to kind of sign off from this project in this video. John can talk about in a minute, like where you can keep up with following him. With my move to Tennessee, I've actually I've worked a deal with John. He has acquired all my inventory, all my machines, wheels, tires, motor parts, cranks, you name it. I'm getting all that stuff over to John so he can continue his endeavor and what he wants to do. But with that said, MB Motorsports may become more of a car and channel like that, and you know, I still want to have some learning stuff, and I'll still field people's questions on lawnmower racing, that kind of stuff. But I'm kind of moving to a phase in my life where I have 5 classic cars, and I kind of want to get working on them. I've spent 12 years of my life, you know, racing and crew chiefing for multiple people in the lawnmower racing world. We have, I don't even know, 6, 7 national titles. I've traveled this country, and I don't regret any of it. I've spent a ton of money. We've had good sponsors. My dad, who I said passed, you know, a month ago, he was a big part of the racing because the kids were involved. He always funneled money to us to make sure we were able to get to all the races and make sure that the kids were able to, you know, compete for these championships and race, and you know, and he was a hell of a guy. Can't say enough about, you know, how much he contributed to our racing over the years. So I think that, you know, John is seeing both aspects of it, the trying to keep up with the hustle, trying to keep up with your family, trying to keep up with your job, and trying to keep up with the people on the track. You know, so it's a lot of pressure. You know, when he talks about racing gear and stuff like that, if you're going to do this seriously, buy good gear. Buy one of the turtle shells that can't bend your back backwards once it's all, you know, bundled onto you. Get a good chest protector like he was talking about. Get a good neck brace. You know, get a lightweight helmet. When you're going around in a circle, the G-force of a heavy helmet pulling your head to the side all the time, that's tough to deal with, you know, so buy a good helmet, you know. I understand, you know, a Kevlar helmet's $700, $800, $900, but I'm not saying you got to go that far. But for a couple $100, you can get a decent helmet.
Yeah.
You know, Scorpion, I don't know if they still make them, but they used to make one that had a little thing that you could push down, and the a sunglass shield came down, you know, and you click the little button and it retracts, so just a clear shield. As John stated, sometimes you're at a fair and you're racing right late afternoon. The sun's setting over turn 3, you know, so you're going into turn 3 into the sun, and you're in a tight pack of people. You can't see, you know, everybody around you. And in this sport, you know, it's for the most part an open wheel sport. When tires rub together, stuff happens.
Yeah,
and it happens quick.
you can't see it. You see it in the videos, but I was going into 3 and I rubbed wheels with another rookie, and the mower flipped me sideways out, and I Supermaned across turn 4. It happens. It does. And in the same race, in the feature, another mower came around the outside and got into the loose stuff, and he was right in front of me. I don't know. Here, I'm going to put this down. This was painted the same color as the mower, and this is actually my backup tin. And he's a good racer. He's a good friend of mine. Somebody that has helped me and that I look up to. He just lost control. He got into the loose stuff, and I had 2.5 feet at wide open to react, and I caved the whole nose. Didn't do any structural damage, but I caved the whole nose right in, and we both walked away. So there is a need for safety equipment, steel-toed shoes, you know, or leather boots that go up over your ankles.
I recommend motocross boots.
Yeah.
Something that comes right up to the bottom of your knee, keeps your ankle and everything in a good stiff position. You do have to set your mower up a little bit for using them, because there's not a lot of articulation for your ankle in a motocross boot. So you kind of have to figure that out with your clutch and your brake. But, you know, the MP Motorsports is Mark and Phil. Mark is my best friend and me. We started MP Motorsports back in 2009 or 10, I don't remember now. Mark had an unfortunate accident, I want to say 2013, 14, in there, where he had just done a lot of work to his mower and was just taking it around a spin in his yard, and he hit a little bump in his front lawn, flipped him up a little bit, and his foot come off the running board, went underneath the rear tire, and next thing you know, he's got like 9 screws and a rod in his leg. So my recommendation is, you know, not to run around your yard too much. Stuff like that can happen. The tracks are much smoother, a little more controlled. If you're fortunate enough to be able to put a track in at your house, or
That'd be cool. Invite me if you get one.
if you have, you know, a smooth enough field or grass that you can go on, that's great. But if you're building a full-on circle track, sanctioning body race mower, you know, just be really careful. These are racing machines. I know we don't necessarily sit and take lawnmower racing sometimes as really serious, and in all honesty, it's about the fun. It's, you know, winning is fun, but racing is fun too. And no matter where you finish, you know, a bad day at the track still isn't that bad. You know,
Better than a good day at work.
Exactly. You know, and with that said, you know, everybody needs to go to work on Monday too. So, you know, when you get that one guy who, you know, might be, you know, 18, 20 years old, that is carefree, and he's driving all the lanes of the track and going NASCAR on like his qualifying lap, you know, that it's one thing if you're out there by yourself, but when you get racing with people, you are wheel to wheel and your nose to tail, and you can't be erratic out there on the track, or somebody's going to get hurt. Fortunately, like John said, in his accident, he hit the guy right sideways. Fortunately, he didn't get into his leg or anything like that, you know. 6 inches different would have been a different story.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it could have been a broken leg, a broken ankle, something like that. So, get good safety gear if you're going to get out and do this. I mean, it just means everything to going home and going to work the next day. You know, I saw a very slow accident last year in Fremont, New Hampshire. Guys went into the corner, they rubbed wheels a little bit. One guy got up in the hay bales, rolled over. I mean, it seemed almost slow motion as it happened. But Tim actually broke 3 or 4 ribs. You know, the mower just rolled over, the steering wheel got him on the other side, and, you know, that quick, he was, you know, hurt. So, you know, it's unfortunate, and you don't ever want to have the day end that way. But it happens, so get good gear, you know.
And that's part of the allure, Phil. You know what I mean? When you're out there and you're wide open and you're flat tracking and you're sideways and there's no seatbelts, you got big old slicks on the inside of the track and you got one hay bale between you and a chain link fence. It'll wake you up. It really will.
Pucker factor.
Oh yeah. And we've had a very inconsistent season between issues with the mower, my engineering, issues with my driving. We DNF'd last race, but it is so much fun. You know, I don't mind the 2.5 hour drive to the closest track. Like I said, I can't say enough good things about the guys that I race with and the racers in the other classes. I encourage everybody to go out and find, if you're really serious about building one of these, there's plenty of videos that are quality videos on how to build, not only ours, but there are other people out there. We're not just pulley swappers for RPMs. And find yourself a club. You know, that's going to be some of your best resources. Your networking. There's a gentleman 2 towns over in Lee, really nice guy. He's got 2 machines. We usually pit next to each other and share tools and share ideas and gear changes. There's a gentleman up north of here that builds race motors. Again, really nice guy, great source of knowledge, especially for a rookie, somebody. I mean, I taught high school shop, so I know my way around a stock Briggs and Stratton. But this is set up like a real race car. I mean, you got caster, camber adjustments, you got gear changes, you set your tire pressures different based on track conditions. So we have a log that we record the temperature, tire pressure, gearing. My wife is takes my lap times, and so we got a record with gearing and lap times. We take the lap times of the lead mower and compare those to ours. You can't see it, but behind me is a 3-drawer toolbox, and everything that I built this with the exception of the fabrication tools, the mechanical tools, all fits in that box. So that box goes to the track. There's a box with spares and fluids and cleaners that goes to the track, and my gearbox, and I have an Excel spreadsheet, and every time, because we travel, so we take out the Excel spreadsheet. Is this on? Extra spark plugs, extra fuel pump, extra tires. It's really no different than if you and I had a street stock and we were going to Lee or Star.
Exactly.
It just happens to fit in the back of my pickup truck.
Yep. I mean, I've raced everything over the years. I mean, we started out in stock cars when I was 16 years old at Beach Ridge up in Scarborough, Maine. We went to drag cars, boats. Pretty much done it all over the years as far as motorsports stuff. Always wanted to get into like off-road trucks, but it's just not really a thing in the Northeast. Have to go out west for that. But you know, we've done our four-wheeling. We've done a lot of stuff. You know, and like John said, this is just like any other motorsports. And you know, with that said, if you're serious about wanting to get into lawnmower racing, look into some of the national bodies. Currently, USLMRA, United States Lawnmower Racing Association, is the one sanctioning body that is still existing. They cut their national schedule this year because of COVID. ARMA had passed the reins to another group in Pennsylvania. They're still going under the ARMA banner, but it's not the American Racing Mower Association anymore. It's Atlantic. But with that said, Aaron Crowell, who was the president of ARMA for all those years, he just started a month or so ago, started a new racing group. I don't know if he's going to take it to a national sanctioning body group, but I think he might head that way if people jump on board. But it's called Elite Mower Racing. So go check that out on Facebook. You know, send Aaron a message, encourage him if it's something you want to get into.
And there's a lot of Facebook groups out there for building mowers. Some again are just pulley swaps to see how fast we could go, and there are guys that talk about building FX or factory experimental. There's a group out of New Brunswick for those of you in the Canadian Maritimes. I know there's a West Coast, there's mid Atlantic, there's middle of the country, there's outfits out of Minnesota and Wisconsin that have races. So like Phil said, he's retiring, I'm taking the reins. I've got 20 years worth of stuff to sort through and try to identify and pick his brain. Well, what's this? What's that?
It's literally truckloads.
Yeah,
when I say truckloads,
Yeah, we're on load number 3, and we haven't even gotten to the shed yet.
we haven't even got out of the garage.
But I do have a YouTube channel. It's my name, John Linville. You can just search for it. It's open for comments. There's only a couple of videos right now. I just got a GoPro. My buddy's kid gave me his GoPro, so we've got a hood mount and a helmet mount. We're trying to take some videos of the track. I have thoughts of another build this winter. So again, it'll be a how-to. It's a different style chassis. It's a newer Craftsman chassis. It's a little bit longer, a little bit wider, a little more room. This has been a good learning curve, and it's a really stout chassis. I recommend this chassis to somebody that's building one for their first time. It's for ease of construction.
Yeah, these things right here, this particular style Craftsman, if it's done in the style that John did it, they're bulletproof. I mean, you know, the one that I mentioned that the guy had broke his ribs, I built that machine 12 years ago. It's been through probably 4 different owners, and that machine still gets out there and wins races. It's probably won, 100 races in those 12 years. And it's probably been flipped over 30 times. I mean, and it just, you flip it back over and you go. You know, I saw one time the steering shaft on it was bent to the side, and the guy's driving it with the steering wheel moving side to side instead of like this. But he finished the race that way. We went home, we changed the steering shaft in it, and it's, all ready to go again. So these they're all steel. They're very bulletproof machines. So, like John said, it's a very good starter build. The metal's pretty thick, so if you're not a great welder, you can still get decent amount of weld on stuff. Some of the other machines are kind of thin on the tin, and you got to be good with your heat and your beads and stuff on the welding. So,
Plus us fat guys, if I can drop. So my friend in Lee, he's got 2 of that style chassis, and his scales 40 pounds lighter than this machine. Now he did some things too that he did very different, but that's my goal, is to lose 20 to 30 pounds myself over the winter and drop 30 pounds on my mower, because you've got a 14 or a 17 horse motor. You have a finite of power. So when you talk about
power to weight ratio,
and that's why those 16-year-old young men and young women do so well. And yes, I got smoked by a young lady. Thank you, Casey. She came in first. It happens.
My wife is a national champion as well, and it doesn't go well with the men.
She was no slouch on the track. She really wheeled that mower right around.
This is one sport there is no powder puff class.
Nope.
The women go out there and they get the same pucker factor as a man, so they're equal on the track.
Yeah, that track is a big equalizer. It really is.
Well, you good?
I'm good, sir.
You good?
Thank you for all your help and your patience and your wisdom.
Hey, no problem. I probably should have been more help. I just the last couple 2 months is
life gets in the way.
Rough, yeah.
Life gets in the way.
I wish you luck moving forward. I've given you enough stuff to build like 2 more machines for the most part. So,
this next build's gonna be a lot cheaper.
Exactly. You know, I'm still available, still a phone call away. So,
Yeah.
and likewise, MP Motorsports is still going to exist. So, you know, you guys have any questions? Go see my videos on YouTube. I mean, if you look up racing mower build basics, I think's the name of it. It's how long it's been out. I don't even remember. There's a part 1 and a part 2. About an hour long, I think, for both parts.
Yeah, I think so.
It goes through everything that John went through. It's just me building it instead of John. The whole point of this was, you know, to have it from John's point of view. I got a lot of comments over the years from people going, well, you know, you've built 50 lawnmowers, you know, and it's easy for you. I get it. It is. I wanted to document somebody who's never built one or never raced doing it and what they went through. I gave John a lot of pointers. I didn't come over here and cut steel, drill steel,
No.
weld steel, or
These
anything
two
like
hands
that.
right here.
I told John what I would do, and John, for the most part, did that. He made some of his own changes. It's great. It's his machine.
I over-engineered the steering. That was a total bust.
Yeah.
Wouldn't do that again. I have pictures. A lot of pictures I didn't send to Phil. So if you have questions about how did you do this or how did you do that, you can reach out to me through my YouTube channel. We can figure out how to communicate, whether it be through Facebook or through the telephone, and I'm happy to share those with you, with anybody.
Yeah, I know this has been a long video. It's over 30 minutes. I hope you guys have hung in there. Like I said, you know, I just get out there and learn about the sport and get out on the track. You know, find a group and work with them and you know, make your dream come true.
Go fast, turn left.
Yeah, that's it. Robbins Racing, all that good stuff. So, you know, if you hung in this far, go and like and subscribe like everybody says on YouTube. Go find John, like and subscribe to him. You know, get him some subscription numbers up there. Maybe you'll be able to like get more content out there and be higher up in the search bar. Go check out my videos, Racing Lawnmower Build Basics. That should come up pretty high in the search bar. So, any questions on that? Shoot me a message. I try to get back to everybody as soon as I can. I'm not as good nowadays at checking the comments and the messages, but I do try to get back to them. So, I'm good.
I'm good.
Over
Thanks for
and out.
watching.
Yeah, hopefully you guys hung in there. Appreciate it. Thank you much.